ZombieTech. Welcome to ZombieTech, a forum for engineers, scientists, and inventors to ponder on the technologies needed to survive the inevitable zombie apocalypse.
She's Addie.
He's Whisker.
And today we have the, world famous, really.
Illustrious.
Wow. World famous now.
Well, I'm sure people from all over the world have watched Hack a Week.
We got Canadians on the board, yeah.
I get emails from everywhere.
Do you?
We have MakerDino.
Aloha.
And that's appropriate because you've actually been in Hawaii.
I've been in Aloha land, 15 years there.
That's amazing.
Yep.
Did you surf?
Land of no electronics. Hard to find electronics there anywhere where you can just walk in and buy them. But I windsurfed there a lot. I didn't surf so much, a little bit, but mostly windsurfed.
That's
did a lot of that.
Awesome.
Now, we know California is basically, zombie terrible, right?
I mean, zombie terrible.
So, LA, San Francisco.
Oh, like those will be the
not a place
centers
you want to be, right?
No.
Sure.
And we've had some talk about whether or not you want to go on to an island because zombies don't drown, so they could just walk on the bottom.
Well, we don't know, though. We don't know.
We don't know, but the question here is, do you think that Hawaii is far enough away that the zombies would never actually walk in that direction?
You know what I think? I think somebody with, like, the zombie virus would get onto a plane. Like rich people, right? Get on their planes. They don't think that they have the zombie virus, and then they break out, and then people can't escape. So then all of Hawaii becomes zombie infested.
Hawaii would be a nice place if it managed to not be zombies.
Across.
There's what?
That if they do make it across the ocean, you got to figure that those are going to be the really tough ones. So the ones that do get there,
oh gosh,
would be really badass.
A super colony.
Yeah, it'd be like the really tough ones.
One island to rule them all.
You're kind of stuck on an island, that's not very big. It's about the size of your average county somewhere in one of the mainland states. So
that's awesome.
I think Antarctica is where it's at.
Freeze them out.
Too cold.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
Forget it.
Wait till they freeze and hit them with a hammer.
It's not like a zombie's smart enough to put a coat on before going out.
I guess.
It's going to be a zombie sickle.
Ugh.
They have one program running, more brains.
All right. So Dino.
Yes.
Dino. You are MakerDino of Hack a Week. For those who don't know what that is, tell us. What is it? What's the goal?
It started with Hack a Day back in, I think April of this year. They posted a little thing one day on their website and their blog that they were looking for someone to come up with some kind of a project. They wanted to hire someone that was an electronics engineer, tinkerer, to come up with a project every week, document it, do a blog about it, and they would pay them the grand sum of, drumroll, $30,000 a year. And
that's not too bad.
But they wanted you to live in Santa Monica, which is $30,000 a
which
year.
will get you like a cardboard box.
Santa Monica,
Yeah.
that's not going to cover your dog walker.
So everybody kind of laughed at that unanimously on that entry, and on the comments section, it was pretty.
Why would
funny,
you have to
actually.
live there? Isn't that silly? I mean, it's all
exactly.
online.
It was kind of silly that they wanted someone to be there. I don't know, but they wanted them, an in-house employee, and everybody kind of laughed at that. And about a day later, I got thinking about it and went, it might be kind of a fun in-your-face thing to do to those guys. Like, maybe I'll just come up with my own thing and do that. God, that would be quite a commitment. Can I do a project a week? I think I could probably pull it off. I'm a crazy tinkerer anyway. So brainstormed for about 5 minutes and went, how about Hack a Week? Is that domain available? Clickety click click. Why, it is.
Nice.
Buy. So I bought it the next day, fired up the computer with WordPress, threw together the website, 2 days later, put up the first video, which is on YouTube, where I mentioned, here I am. I'm going to do Hack a Week. I'm a crazy hacker, and I'm going to do this, and that's about it. I just went from there, and it's been fun. It's been really challenging. It's nonstop. As soon as I'm done with one, it's like
You're started on the next one.
a 5-minute break, have a beer, and go, okay, what's next? So it's really pushed me in a lot of directions that I never thought it would. It's challenged me quite a bit, and it's been a lot of fun. It's been times where it's extremely frustrating too, and there's also been times when people have stepped up and helped me out a whole lot, which is awesome. People in the IRC chat on Savage Circuits, and Roy Eltham, got to give him a shout out. He's saved my ass more than once with help, and he's always so humble about it. It was nothing, So I want to tell him once again right here, thanks, Roy. Roy's a cool guy.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what it's all about. Just any project a week. Lots of it has been electronics, but pretty soon now it's going to start going into crafty things, because winter time's coming up. Time for indoor crafty type stuff. So
Sure.
now the crafty artist person is going to come out next.
Sure. And you're kind of right now near the halfway point, right?
2 more, yeah. I'm on 24.
Okay.
I just did this week, so 2 more to go. And at halfway, I'll have to do something special that has to do with half 50.5. I don't know, something.
Sure.
Yeah.
Now, what's the easiest, hardest, and what's another est thing we can ask? Easiest, hardest, and
Dumbest.
sure. How about that? Dumbest part of this whole
Well, let's
thing.
see. I mean, as far as projects go, which one?
No, just the whole
The whole concept.
Concept of it.
The
Well,
actual
hardest
act of
thing
doing
is
Yeah.
maintaining a life around all this at times. And recently, new girlfriend on the scene, and any guy or woman, I guess man or woman on either side of that fence, can tell you when you enter into a relationship, suddenly everything changes, and it's like, oh wow, you have to make time for that person. So that's been quite a challenge.
Sure.
So that's pretty tough. And there are times when it's just like, God, I really don't want to go out to the bench tonight. I just want to sit here and chill out. But you've got this self-imposed commitment that you want to keep up, and you have to do it. So there's times when it's just the old self-discipline of, all right, damn it, I got to go do this. I said I was going to do it. I'm going to do it.
Right.
And a lot of that is because I know at the end of the year I can look back and go, damn, I did every one of them. I made it. So
Right.
That's
Right.
really, I want to be at that point one day where I can do that. So of course that's the drive that gets me to do a hack a week when I really don't feel like it at times. So that's probably the difficult part.
Sure.
The easy part for me is once I get in the groove and I'm at the bench and I'm rolling with it. That's just the way my brain works. Is once I'm there and the switch is thrown, it's just stay out of my way. Here I go, and I'm gonna stay there until I figure it out. And I'll take frustration and something failing and rechannel it into the energy to keep going. I learned that one a long time ago. Instead of throwing things across the room, you just take that energy and push it right into what it takes to get the job done.
Chop off
Yeah.
a doll's head, glue it to a robot.
Yeah.
That one got a lot of feedback too.
Yeah, that was one that was like, damn it, this isn't going to work. This thing I did this week's not going to work. And here it is at the last minute. What am I going to do?
Dollbot.
I literally got 2 hours to get this done. So
Okay.
I know I'll do this thing I did before and maybe have a little fun with it, throw some lights in it, and get the people in the chat room involved at the same time. And so out of that came that freaky little thing. I got so many responses and crazy emails from people on that. I was super surprised how well received that was, and the views went through the roof.
Hilarious. It's hilarious.
That thing got more views in 3 days than any other video I did prior to that one. So that was a surprise.
And this brings up a really interesting thing. The I don't know if it's the idea, but just the act of failing. Like, it's so many times you see projects online and it's like magic, everything worked out lovely, and there was no frustration because we're all done, and happy project, rainbow, shine,
Right. And we live in a perfect world,
But-
and little bears dance around.
Oh, isn't it the truth that these projects just sometimes drive you crazy?
That's what you don't see a lot on some of
absolutely
these
nuts.
things that are on. You look at it and hey, that's pretty cool. That person did this, but you don't always see what goes on behind the scenes, the frustration and
Right.
the failure.
Right.
Yeah, like this last Friday's video, Dean does a hack a week. We do, 2 hacks a week, a song a week, a blog every day, blah, blah, blah. So, everything that he's saying, just take that and multiply it, right? Just crazy around here. This Friday video, I put up a little like demo of a music tracking program that I've been working on. And I got like maybe one comment on it, right? Because most people probably don't understand exactly why it's cool, because it's not doing exactly what I'm going to have it do at the end of the day. It's not all blinking lights yet. But what people I don't think realize is that I
He
worked
smashed his forehead against the keyboard
on that
10,000
thing
times.
14 to 16 hours a day all week long
Yeah,
to make that one 4-minute video.
I easily believe that, if not more than that.
Yeah.
Because that's how it is with this stuff. I mean, my girlfriend asked me, it's like, well, how long does it take you to do each one? I said, on the average, the whole thing, all of it, the planning,
A week?
the execution, the video,
takes a
the
week.
editing of the video, the rendering of the video, the upload of the video, the follow-up, the blog, write the blog,
Yep.
post it, done.
Yep.
On the average, it's like anywhere from 8 to 16 hours of real at the bench or the desk time.
Right.
Well,
Well, 'cause you're thinking of it.
over a few days.
Right.
So,
Right.
I mean, it's a second job that
Right.
neither one of us, you or I, are getting paid for. In a sense, it's just here we are doing it. Putting the content out there, and
Yep.
Yeah, and in order to make the time to do that kind of thing, as somebody who's providing content like Dean is, you always have to make that decision. Do you spend your time doing what you like to do and what other people benefit from, or do you say, well, I don't have time to do that because I have to be over here making money to be
Yeah.
able to cover everything else that's just incidental in life?
yeah,
It's
you have to find a balance.
Yeah, I was reading about some social concepts earlier today in some unrelated research, but one of the concepts I was reading about was social traps. And it's like one person making a decision that's for just their own immediate benefit, and everyone is doing that at the same time, can cause a net lowering of society's gain. And it's that sort of situation when you're like, okay, I can spend 16 hours this week doing something that how many people watch your stuff? 2,000 people.
2, 3, 4.
3,000 people are going to enjoy that. Or instead, I can spend that time working a couple extra hours at work each day and bring home some extra cash.
Right.
But that only benefits one person.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's great that Dean decides to donate his time to whatever 3,000-4,000 of you out there that watch his show. He's donating that time to you.
Right.
Totally. And it's the payback for me is the feedback that I get from people, which never ceases to amaze me and surprise me, the things I get back, and they may mention things I never thought of before. I've heard Jerry Ellsworth say the same thing about it. It's like sometimes someone will mention something or comment on something and look at a project you did in a way that you never even thought of before.
Yeah, a
like
good
the one
example
I
is
just
that
did.
that SID organ that I've been working on. Some guy suggested that I create a paper tape reader for it, so that you could feed like a piano roll into the machine and it'll play like
Stop
a
giving him ideas.
1800s player piano, but play a SID chip. It's just brilliant,
That'd be cool.
brilliant idea. What was yours?
Well, like this week, the one I just did with the little JFET preamplifier and a piezo pickup, I had a comment today where a person went, Hey, that's pretty cool. I use those piezo pickups too, and we buy them at Radio Shack, or you can hack them out of these other devices, buy like a little chirp alarm thing and pull it apart. But why make a preamp for it? They work great on their own. And it's just kind of funny, like, yeah, they do. But what he didn't get from the video was that, like, well, the main drive was to make the preamp,
JFET preamp.
and the piezo was secondary to that kind of. And
Right.
and actually give Addie a shout out for that,
Oh.
helping out with the idea there. I was kind of getting hung up on it, like, gee, this input's not working. Oh wait, it's for high impedance, and
Right.
this is hey,
Well,
so
and
she
I
stepped
tell you,
up.
the only reason I would have known that is because I didn't know jack about jack. So, just doing some of the research for our own JFET preamp, it was
Yeah.
kind of like, oh,
Yeah,
Well, see, there you go. We end up
specifically
feeding off each other, kind of a thing.
right.
I specifically had to design a preamplifier for a piezoelectric element that's in my resonator last week. And I was looking around at the different options, and I saw that basically one of the most sensible ways to approach it was with a JFET. I was like, okay. So I went and built one.
They're
And
pretty cool.
Addie, of course,
Clip's
comes
pretty
in
nice.
and creates a bunch of blog posts about it too.
Well, 'cause
So,
I don't know
I
anything
just
about
needed
them.
a preamp for my guitar, and then Addie needed some posts, so she covered what I did. And then, at the end of the day, Dean was working on his, and he was trying to use it with what was it, a single coil?
Yeah, I was using it with that homemade coil I did from a hack somewhere back around 14 or 15. That guitar pickup,
So a DIY single coil pickup. And
which only measured like 5K or something. It wasn't that much. So
I like the idea, though, of using DIY things to test DIY things.
yeah,
it's
great.
awesome. It's really cool. I really miss my
How
LM386 amp,
appropriate.
which, moment of silence. Okay, that's long enough. It died. I need to.
The chip.
rework. I just need to rebuild it. Yeah.
Sure.
I tried to throw a little 8-pin dip socket on it the other day and chuck a new chip in there, and it didn't work. I think I unsoldered something in the process. But
That's the thing with chips. It's always you're always gonna be like, until it works. In the application, you're always like, is this chip broken? Did I just
exactly.
screw this chip up? You know what I mean?
you don't really ever know for sure unless you have a couple of them to plug in, and you
Right.
know.
I
And
vote for a
kinda have
universal
learned-
chip tester.
Well, I learned a lesson from this too. Anytime I build anything with a chip from now on, I'm gonna just put it in a socket so I can replace it easily.
Sure.
Yeah,
rather
I
than
ordered
hard
a whole
solder it in.
bunch of
Just-
sockets from Tata Electronics not too long ago, just for that reason.
Just makes
it's easy
sense.
to break them.
Yep.
So, okay, so hardest is balancing work life.
Yep.
And then easiest is going through it as you sit at the bench. And then I think I asked dumbest, but I don't really know exactly what I mean by that. Interpret as you feel.
The dumbest part of this whole thing.
Yeah. Is there a dumbest part? Or smartest, whatever,
Well, I guess it's all about perspective. You could look at it from what we were talking about earlier, where it's like, dude, get out and have a life. Instead of being home all the time, or something like that. But that's kind of that's a call, I guess, on just where you're at with things.
Sure.
And to me, it's not really dumb. It's, I thrive on this stuff. I love to
Right.
just be at my bench tinkering. I would be doing it anyway.
Right.
Maybe not one project a week, but I would still be out there just messing around because it's just in my nature to do that.
Right.
Take things apart. How do they work? What can I, repurpose something into something else? And so,
Well, and being self-taught. I mean, that's how you learn more about what
Yeah.
you're doing too.
yeah, exactly. You're just already in that mode of, do it yourself. So,
Sure.
not
And
really anything outstandingly dumb about it.
Okay. All right.
the upside to all of this sort of thing is the more time you spend prototyping, the better your chances get if, like, you notice that your neighbors are starting to eat each other's brains.
It's true.
Because, I mean, if you're the kind
We're
of
gonna
person...
need a prototyper on our team.
if you're the sort of person that, the sink breaks and you call a plumber,
Yeah.
You run the risk of
there's
getting a zombie
if
plumber.
there's a zombie squad that you can call and pay them a bunch of money to come take care of your problem, sure, but yeah, I'm
Hey.
guessing that that's not going to be the case.
Now you got to be careful who you allow onto your property and let in your house.
That
after
is
the,
a good point. You never know if
You
they've
just
been
don't know.
careful.
Someone could be held hostage and being, you know,
Eaten.
don't exactly.
It's like they
"Oh,
come and
yeah."
greet you, and the back of their head's missing. Because their brain's been slurped. Huh.
Dean did an episode of Hack a Week a couple weeks ago when the hurricane was on its way up there about his evacuation kit.
Yeah, that was interesting because as soon as I was putting it together, I mean, I literally was like, you know what? I've got to get a grab and go kit together because this thing could hit here. I mean, there was a period there where I wasn't sure, and it's just this moment of kind of like when I was starting to plan it and think about it, all of a sudden, ding! Hey, this is this week's project. How about that? 2 for 1. Let's go. Grab
Nice.
the camera, set it up, and here we are. So
Nice.
that was a real life project
Application,
that
yeah.
got put on there, and that worked out pretty cool. I got a lot of people that actually thanked me for giving them ideas on how to pack something.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
So
There's some of that helping people out thing we were talking about.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a community service, and as far as I'm concerned, you
Mm-hmm.
know, just because Hack-A-Day is not willing to pay a reasonable amount for their location, I think that the community is more than capable of stepping up and,
Helping with donations and
yeah, you can donate to shows like Dean's, like ours, like some other people out there. I'm sure Amp Hour and whatnot. They all have donation buttons.
Yep. It's on
And-
the home page up at the top.
Every time you donate to a project like this, you keep the ads off of it, you keep the corporate sponsorship out, and you keep it, just from a fellow hacker to a fellow hacker sort of thing, which is great.
Yeah.
So, what would you say besides, say, the hurricane evacuation kit? What would you say are the best projects to bring along for the zombie apocalypse?
Oh, you mean as far as the hacks I've done?
Or any, I will
Just
even
anything.
extend it to projects you've done throughout your life.
Just kind of leave it open, huh?
Yep.
Well, let's see. As far as the projects, that'd be a good place to start probably because I'm up to 24 things there now to look at. But oh gosh, let me see here. Hold on just a minute. I need to look at them.
Sure thing.
That's one nice thing about having your own website with all of the projects that you've done in the last 6 months. You got one
All right
spot
there.
that you can just scroll down and go, you know what? I'm a productive person.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like, wow, am I really on 24 already? Holy crap, what happened?
Time really has passed by quite fast,
It's like
actually.
pretty quick.
Yeah, this last 6 months has just flown by. I think we've put up like 150 videos.
Oh, God,
we?
here we go.
Yeah.
The photo phone. I mean,
Photo
how
phone, yeah.
simple was the photo phone? The photo phone was basically, you just need a 9-volt battery.
Mm-hmm.
You need a speaker, a mirror, a way to vibrate the mirror with sound, and a solar panel, and you can communicate across distance.
True.
So, you can't get out of the building. You need to talk to somebody 2 blocks away. So,
True.
you set up your little mirror thingy and get to work. So you could actually set up a network where you could, you'd obviously have to communicate with these people at some point to do this. But
Right.
once you get it set up, and it's, no wires, no anything, pretty minimal ability for somebody to mess with it. And once it's up and running, the only drawback is at night you can't communicate. But then, I guess at that point, you could go ahead and, oops, that was Jake making some crazy noise there. The cat.
Oh, the cat.
But at nighttime, you could do, you could take over with your project the laser version of the photo phone where you transmit
Sweet.
with laser beam instead. So that's a good one. That would be pretty good.
Yeah, the your photo phone there inspired a few different projects, I think.
Yeah, that was.
You did that one. Mark Van de Wettering did a amplitude or a current modulated LED
Oh, that's
version,
right. I forgot about
and
that.
I did a pulse width modulated laser diode
It all
version.
kind of spun off from the photo phone. Wow.
So you gotta love this community. It just one person has an idea, and the next person takes a little bit farther in a slightly different direction, and
Exactly.
we all learn stuff in the process because we're paying attention to what everybody else is doing.
And then there was the Whack-A-Mouse project. I guess you could rework that and turn it into a zombie trap somehow.
Yeah, we've
Whack
talked
a
about this on
zombie.
the show before that the scientists that are studying the zombies indirectly by saying what sort of brain damage would they have to elicit these behaviors, and then model that in a real brain and say, okay, how would you go about dealing with this in a reality situation? And one of the things that they found is that if the zombies have this and this and this and this different symptoms, then they would also be highly distractible. So something
Oh.
like
True.
the Whack-A-Mouse.
That would be hilarious. You could have a whack human.
Yeah, Whack-A-Human. You just
No, it'd be whack some brains is what it would be.
Whack
Lick
a
the
brain?
brains.
Whack a brain. You stick a big brain on each of the sticks and then
Right. And we have Brain Wagon for that. He's got a whole wagon full of brains.
hey,
Yeah.
there we go. Brain
Good
wagon.
source.
Can we get a couple?
Problem there.
He's got some to spare.
That
The
is
chicken
brilliant.
tractor. There's another one that could be turned into a zombie trap, or
Wow.
you could.
Oh, I guess we could. We could
Chicken-
keep them in a
chick-
zoo,
Yeah, you could trap zombies with chickens.
and then Doc could provide a cure, and if they
Yeah.
get cured, then we've got enough to save the world.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent.
Let's see, there was the screaming Altoids box. That could be an alarm. Could turn that into an alarm.
True. I think you're in the making for being the first major zombie apocalypse corporation,
Oh yeah.
type of
Well,
thing.
You definitely want me around. I mean, I've
Oh
always
yeah.
fancied myself the person that you see in the movies who's the geek guy that comes in and saves the day with a paper clip and a roll of duct tape and wipes out
MacGyver style.
yeah I'm that guy. I'm calm. I'm just like, step aside, okay, just let me handle this.
Yeah, I
Well,
got
and
some
you're our
bubble
auto
gum.
mechanic too.
Yeah, there you go. The all-terrain robot, that thing had a camera on it, so that could do reconnaissance autonomously.
I think we got quite a few good projects here from the Dean man.
Yeah, we
I dig it.
this week we've been talking a little bit about a kind of zombie apocalypse related project of our own, and considering that Dean is a professional auto
mechanic.
mechanic,
Yep.
he would probably be a good guy to bring this up to. Addie wants to build a zombie truck. She wants to start with a 1940, 1939 Chevy pickup truck.
Oh, because they're so cute. Half ton. Have you seen one? Oh my goodness, they're cutie patooties. They're beautiful.
Women and their cute thing. I
Yeah,
just love it.
yeah.
It's the best. It's like
So-
in the face
Oh,
of
they're just
common
great.
sense. It doesn't
Before we
matter
get
'cause
too distracted by the woman cute rule here, just to cue the listeners in here and what her idea is. She'd like to take this
Well, this is a
70,
joint idea, I should say.
70-year-old truck
Yeah.
and do a full modern electric conversion on it.
Yep.
So it has a really, really beefy electric motor, motor controller, DC to DC converter, and just a huge number of very large batteries hidden under the bed.
Do I know anything about cars? No.
And she would also like to build a generator into the back.
That's what
Holy
Whisker
crap.
says.
So, it's now a hybrid, right? So, if you can get gas, you can charge the batteries. You charge the batteries, you can go.
What do you think? Initial reaction.
Initial reaction is like you've got a really giant, heavy vehicle that you want to move around with an electric motor and batteries.
Yeah.
And the first rule of an electric vehicle is the lighter it is, the better the range.
My coworkers did tell me it would go putting down the driveway.
And if you blow that out the door, then of course, yeah, you could take just about anything and put an electric motor and batteries in it and drive it around. And I guess it just depends on what you want to use it for. Like anything you design, it's kind of about the form follows the function, I guess. And so if you just want it to make short trips and be cute, then hey, there you go.
Then that'll be good enough.
Make it happen. But
we kind of do want
ask her something for longer range, then of course you'd want lighter. But I must say it would be pretty cool to have an old 1940 Chevy pickup, which does look
Aren't they
cool.
cute?
Yep. If
They're
you could
adorable.
Find, one that's pretty complete as a start, it would be pretty cool. It'd be kind of neat to drive one of those around. And people, of course, would ask about it. And when you say, it's electric powered, they'd be like jaw drop.
They'd be like, you gotta be kidding me.
Exactly.
It actually moves.
And then, your decals on the door say the zombie delivery truck, delivering us from zombies.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's what I wanted to maybe
talk
call
about
it
a conversation piece, right?
Oh, totally a big icebreaker there.
Now, are you comfortable with electric cars? Because if we're gonna do this conversion, you're gonna have to be our mechanic.
Totally.
You're
I've
totally.
Tons and tons of research on it. I really wanted to build one when I lived in Hawaii, and spent about a month in my spare time just here and there, on the internet, like, okay, it's time for a little more research. Let's do some digging, get in Google and start searching things out. And I've got quite a bit of information bookmarked away of places, of resources, of information, parts, plans, where to get entire kits on how to convert cars.
What do you think is the most difficult part of the conversion? Say it was just like a typical small car,
The motors are pretty easy. I mean, you're basically taking an internal combustion engine with a whole bunch of parts that are moving in opposite directions all the time, having to stop and move the other way. Mm-hmm. And you're replacing that with a thing that's moving in the same direction constantly. So you tell me which one's simpler and going to last longer,
Sure.
So, and from that perspective, you're putting something in there that's going to be a lot more reliable and a lot less maintenance. And as far as coupling it to the existing drivetrain, it's really not that difficult. You're just talking about an adapter on a shaft, and that's about it. And figuring out a way to make a clutch work. So
why don't more people do this? I mean, doesn't that sound like
it's
technology?
Cost and time. That's really a lot of it. People just don't have the time or money or the willingness to make the commitment to do it. But the people who do, and there's a pretty big community of people out there that do the EV thing, electric vehicle.
Yeah.
They love it. They're into it, and they, are very enthusiastic about it. There was a kit available a number of years ago for, including batteries and everything, about $5,000. This may be different these days, but this was about 6 or 7 years ago when I researched this. And then it was to convert a Geo Metro to electric. And you just basically yank out the engine, sell it or throw it away. Chances are throw it away because it's a junkyard car you're buying. And the Geo Metro, it doesn't weigh anything. I mean, it's a little over a ton. It's a pretty lightweight car. Mm-hmm. And it's pretty well suited. You've got room in the back for batteries, and that's another big consideration when you're picking a vehicle is where are you going to put all these batteries?
Right.
You got to have a place to put them. I once worked on a Porsche 914 in Arizona that Arizona Public Service, the utility company, sponsored and worked with high school students, and they built an electric car from a Porsche 914. They pulled out the flat 4-cylinder motor. They put in a big DC motor and a controller, an electronic controller. They put batteries in the trunk in the rear and in the trunk in the front because a 914 is a mid-engine car. Mm-hmm. So that car was really very well suited to convert. And I drove it, and it drove just as good performance-wise as the stock engine. I was really
That's
surprised.
awesome. That's awesome.
So there's a lot of possibilities out there. It's just basically your imagination's the limit. There's so many lightweight cars that you can do this with, or go ahead and put it in a Sherman tank if you want.
Yeah, it's just a number of how many batteries you want to carry around with you.
How many batteries and how big of a motor you want to be willing to stick in there, and of course the bigger
What
the motor,
gear
the
ratio
more
you want.
Yep.
You can go fast, you can pull a lot, but you can't do both.
Yeah. Well, the nifty thing about electric motors, though, unlike an internal combustion engine, a little bit of techie stuff here. Internal combustion engines need RPMs to make torque. Torque being the ability, the work that they can do. Think of it as like if you're pushing on a lever, the longer the lever, the more work you can do. That's kind of analogous to torque. Well, in an internal combustion engine, it relies on RPMs building up. So you don't get a lot of torque until the horsepower and the torque work together. So at maybe 3,000 or 4,000 RPMs, the engine's finally starting to make some real power and torque. Whereas a DC electric motor is at maximum torque from the very beginning of its startup. As soon as it's turned on, it's doing the maximum work that it can, and then the torque actually drops off as it gets up to a point where it has to do less work. It's kind of interesting.
That's interesting.
Yeah, that's why they can actually be so fast. If you remember back when they did the GM Volt, the original one they did back in the 80s, the thing would do 0 to 60 in something like 6 seconds, and it blew people's mind that that electric car could do that.
Right.
Yeah, I think that Tesla and Chevy with their Volt have demonstrated very clearly that the age of petroleum is nigh.
No, it'll take a while, but we're at the beginnings of it. Believe me, it'll be another 50, 80, 100 years before we're completely weaned from the petroleum teat.
Well, speak for yourself. I'm not going to be alive that long, so I'm just going to make that happen
as a society,
now.
not as individuals.
Well,
a lot of people are jumping ship.
Again, it's social trap. Like I was saying earlier, if everybody is just buying that particular technology because it's the cheapest, and they're damaging everyone else in the process. That's just not. We're smarter than that, right? And we've got to be.
Well, there's the masses out there too, though, that just are so stuck on the hot rod power aspect and
the
still
vroom,
not
vroom.
sold on the EV car. Is not going to be like I can slam the gas pedal and outrun everybody, and people love that in America.
Yeah, well, set them down in a Tesla and let them blow everyone else out of the water. Because honestly, an electric car can accelerate a lot faster.
But even some people, when you show them that, they're still going to want that.
They want the sound.
That internal combustion.
They want the sound, the vibration, the roar of the,
It is a different animal. You go drive an electric car, like the Porsche 914 I drove. The oddest thing about it was when you pull up to a light, here's what you heard. And that's really weird. You're used to hearing blah 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 vroom vroom, There's nothing there, and you're kind of like, okay, I feel really odd right now. It's all quiet, and I feel like everyone's staring at me. Did your car stall? No, this is normal. It's a little weird.
That's great.
It's one of those sort of things that I'm sure you get used to very quickly.
We could put a little MP3 playing, engine sounds on the side of the car.
If you're doing your zombie truck, you need to, because it was in a song that we already produced.
Yeah,
where the zombie truck had like a big bullhorn on it.
True.
Where you could like blast out loud noises at the zombies.
We are humans. We are not zombies.
We need to build a Tesla coil into it too, so you can zap
Hex. Yes. Yes.
That'd be fun.
I approve. Well, that's awesome. We're gonna have to fly you up and see if you can't help us get our zombie truck all.
There's lots of ways to go about it. You can do engines on. You can do motors on every wheel, and those motors can also serve as generators, so that every time the car is coasting or you have the brakes on, a flip of a switch makes them now become a generator.
That's brilliant.
And you get to take all that inertia and turn it into energy that goes back into the to the batteries. It's called regenerative braking.
Wait, so then do you...
There's a couple of ways to approach regenerative braking as well.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't need a central motor? You just need motors for each wheel?
You can do them on each wheel, yeah. In fact, that's one of the bookmark sites I have is a company that makes hub motors, they're called.
That's cool.
Yeah, the wheel mounts in the center, and it's like the rim is actually part of the
Whoa.
electric motor.
So then you could, like, have a crap ton more batteries, right? Because you can have batteries both in the front and in the back.
Yeah, you could, sure. You
Instead
could take
of the motor
space
taking
that
up the
would have
front.
been, and then that just
Wow.
makes the vehicle have better weight distribution as well.
That would be cool.
So, lots of ways to go about it.
There are lots of ways. That's brilliant.
This is the sort of stuff we need to get back to. It's like so much nowadays engineering happens in some, dark room somewhere. And
Well, it's us. It's people like you guys and myself and many many others out there that are that whole this maker movement thing, which I'm sure you probably look at it the same as I do. Like where you hear that the new maker movement, you're like, new? I've been doing this forever. It's just finally starting to
come
get
back again.
recognized by the mass media, and people are picking up on it. But it's been around for quite some time. It's actually came back to the way that it used to be for everyone.
Yeah, you go back to, say, turn of the century, and it didn't really matter who you are, what your socioeconomic status was. If you had a good idea and you had the gumption to get up and do it, you could create a company, you could make it happen.
Certainly could.
And there's, like, the economic climate right now is so stacked against people doing that, that most people just give up and they're like, okay, I'm going to go work for so-and-so because they're already established. And we miss out on so much innovation because of this.
I've I coined my own phrase a couple of years ago, and I still uphold this. I really think that what I call garage tech is what's going to be one of the major things that save our economy. I really, really hope so anyway. It's kind of like Hewlett Packard back in the day, Apple Computer, the way they started out of a garage. They both just started with a couple guys in a garage with an idea, and look where they've grown to. So
Wright brothers in their garage, goes back. Garages have gone back a long way in relationship to massive movements forward in technology.
that's right. And
MakerDino Incorporated Limited.
The really big stuff doesn't happen in the corporate R&D laboratory. The really big stuff always happens with some slightly crazy dude hanging out with his cats in his garage.
Yep. I have a friend that has told me numerous times. She goes, Dino, one of these days you're going to put two wires together in some way nobody else has, and that's it. You're just going to be set for life. I'm like, okay.
Cool with that. No problem.
I love the way she put it. Just put two wires together. Yeah, it'll just be that simple.
Could these two wires be them?
Tricky part is knowing enough to know when you've done it.
Exactly.
True. So now, how do you usually come up with the ideas for your projects? Is it mostly just from bouncing ideas off of people, or is it for function? Like for us, it's for function. We need it for XYZ, so we make it. But since you have to do this once a week, I mean, there's only so many needs that you need, and
it's varied a bit. The last few weeks, in fact, I've been kind of pulling some stuff off from some websites with transistor circuits, because transistors are such an integral part of electronics and have taken us from vacuum tubes to microprocessors as we know them now. So for the last, I guess, 4 or 5 projects, it's been a lot about transistors, and a lot of those have been on like 2 or 3 different websites that I found. So kind of a harvesting, if you will, of what's already out there. Just do some searching and go, hey, that would be a cool project. Let me read a little about it, find out a little more about it, so I know what I'm talking about. And at the same time, I'm learning too. So that's really cool.
Right.
So some of them are like that. Others are just kind of whimsical, spontaneous stuff. And then a few of them here and there that I haven't done yet. I mean, I've got like a list here I'm getting out right now that's got lots of stuff written down. Some of them are absolutely crazy, would be really tough to pull off like in a week. And I've had some people say, well, you could do like one project and spread it out over 2 or 3 weeks. I'm like, no, that's kind of not what it's about. It's about pulling off one in a week, start to finish, a complete project.
Right.
But there's like, for instance, there's one that I think would be really, really fun, and that would be to take the Google Flight Simulator and turn it into a sit down inside of console, like, an 80s arcade game, where you could actually sit down in there, fire up Google Earth, or for that matter, Google Mars.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Have a joystick in front of you and, take a keyboard and just hack the keyboard. There's a few ways to do that. So you could access the keyboard shortcuts for all the other controls, like the flaps, the rudder, the trim on the ailerons, all that stuff.
Right. You heard it here, folks.
That's quite a big project.
You might be able to get away with it by doing something like the hack this week is how to hack a keyboard.
Yeah,
to be able to
put it all
blah, blah.
together into that. I thought of that too. Exactly where you're going with that. Yeah.
That's a bit kind of like what we do for our stuff, but
and one that's coming up that's just fun that I've done before, and my girlfriend and I are going to do this one together. Is homemade soda pop. A lot of people aren't aware that you can make your own soda pop with some brewer's yeast and sugar, and it demonstrates how the fermentation process works.
Does it taste
how
good?
Stuff gets carbonated. It tastes so yummy. It's got such a nice light fizz to it. It's really, really good.
That's very cool.
That's how I actually got my start in business, was renting out soda stuff to restaurants and bars when I was like 14 years old. Cool. I went down to sort of a surplus place, and they had pumps after pumps after pumps, and they were all broken. And I bought them all for like $20. Went and got new O-rings and new lube and all that for them, and my dad and I rebuilt like 100 pumps.
Wow.
We picked up the rest of the parts that were missing, like some new hosing and the T brackets for connecting various things together, and the valves, and and then we went out and we found places who wanted to get out from under the thumb of like Coke and Pepsi and whatnot. And my dad made homemade ice cream, like gourmet homemade ice cream at the time. So he already had ins with all these places because he'd deliver ice cream to them.
Yummy. So you already had the clientele from that.
Yeah, and then I'd tag along too and set up my bag-in-a-box soda pop systems. And he ended up having to move his ice cream business to a new location. And when he was looking for buildings that were suitable for it, he met this guy who actually ran a mom-and-pop soda pop company, actually making the syrup, right? Mm-hmm. So we ended up moving the ice cream production place into the same building as a guy who was making soda pop company. So my dad is the salesman running around making all the ice cream deals. This guy's, running around making all the soda pop, supply deals. And I'm sitting right in the middle between them because, I work for my dad and I do this thing on the side. And I got all their clients. It's great.
Okay,
That's
now,
awesome.
What does soda pop have to do with zombies?
Well, I'm not sure, but being able to make it yourself would be a great thing for just keeping morale up.
Sugar, and it's sugar, and it's so, people
feel down that the rest of the world are zombies.
I mean, what geek do you know that doesn't consume some kind of a sugar or a caffeine product?
That is true.
If we're gonna rebuild society, we need to keep our coders in soda.
You got to have something to relax you a little in your, a little bit of downtime that you get, which will be very precious, I might add, right? So,
now, speaking of zombies, I heard something earlier involving a super soaker, Dean.
Dude.
Oh, yeah. This just kind of hit me the other day out of the blue. You've got to defend yourself against zombies. And it's like, I'm thinking on my 1 hour commute I have every day, like, well, there's guns and all that stuff and ammo, but you got to get ammunition for guns. I mean, that's
right.
That could be kind of tough to get at a certain point. You'd have to go out and find it. And I thought, well, what else could you throw at them, dump on them, or the acid would probably hurt them. Hey, wait a minute. There's going to be a lot of dead people. Everybody owns a car, which means there's going to be a lot of abandoned vehicles with batteries in them. There's going to be tons of those. So if you go out on like a total scavenge hunt where you find batteries and just
Dude.
gather
Lead
up as
acid.
many batteries as you can, and then you bring them back to your headquarters and you drain the acid, the sulfuric or hydrochloric acid out of them.
Oh my gosh.
And hydrochloric acid, doesn't hurt plastics, so you dump
It
the
doesn't?
hydrochloric acid. No.
It doesn't mess
Well-
with plastic or glass. So.
Yeah, so you put it in a super soaker and you fill up the super soaker. I mean, how big of a one do you want? You go to the toy store, Toys R Us, raid that place and grab all their friggin' super soakers, fill them up with hydrochloric acid, and you just squirt it at the zombies, man. And
So
get 'em
instead
in
of
the
turret
eyeballs.
guns,
Yeah.
it'd be turret super soakers.
You just nail them in the eyes with super soakers, and they're gonna scream and freak out and not
Do you
know where
think
they're
that would work?
going.
I mean, I haven't seen
Well,
any
you'd
movies where they use
blind-
acid.
You'd blind them. So I mean, it would
I mean,
definitely
they would melt.
eat out their eyeballs. They might still be around, running around randomly, but at least they couldn't see anymore. So
I guess that is true.
then there's your opportunity to go lob their head off or whatever else it takes to totally chop them up into little pieces and run them through a meat grinder. I don't know. And then the other thing too, I was thinking is
people.
alkali. Anything alkali based will basically dissolve flesh and tissue given enough time. And
We could
that
have an
idea
alkaline
came
moat.
That idea came from an article I read where in Japan they're actually starting to they're opening up a few places where you can have your loved one's body not cremated but dissolved in a tank full of alkali based liquid. And then they strain out everything but whatever and give that back to you, which is really freaking weird.
Wow.
So that's what sparked that idea, kind of.
Wow.
But I like the super soaker because your available resource of the nasty stuff, the hydrochloric acid, it's going to be everywhere. So many batteries, and then of course, whatever you don't use, you have for batteries to use for all kinds of other things. You can make a welder out of a couple of batteries, for crying out loud.
Yeah, stack enough of them together, you can get the voltage way up.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So, okay, let's say we're out, we're looking, there's zombies approaching. How fast could you get a car battery out, given the right tools?
Pretty quick. I mean, what you would want to carry with you would be a few key sockets. Being the mechanic I am, you need like probably a 1/2-inch socket, a 13mm socket, a 12mm socket, a 10mm socket, a 7/16. If you have those in your pocket and a ratchet with an extension and a pair of bolt cutters,
Yeah.
because they're going to cut through the cables really quick.
Yeah.
To hell with undoing the cables with butts. You just reach in there, cut the two cables, undo the one nut that holds the battery in, yank it out. Lots of cars, people don't even have the
So
chance
what
bolt
is that,
it
like
down.
10 minutes maybe?
Not even.
Brilliant.
Probably a couple minutes tops. If that.
Brilliant. 2 minutes. 2 minutes. We can hold those zombies off for 2 minutes.
So you got the super soaker, it's the last battery
Right
you
there.
stole. Just
Well, we've
fill
got
that
John
up.
Raffe for bait. We can just tell him, John, go run over there. I don't want to run. Go. Just go faster than the zombies.
Oh, awesome.
That's very cool.
Well, that's another thing
That's
that
very
came to
cool.
mind too. A bicycle, that's great transportation. The only thing you need is your muscles. You don't need fuel.
True.
So carry a bicycle around, and when you're out and about scouting out things, a bicycle with a big fat basket on it, old school style.
Very
You can
true.
outrun the zombies.
I'm thinking dirt bike, not so much bicycle,
Well,
personally.
that's cool, but when you run out of fuel, you're screwed.
Yeah, but if you're running around picking up batteries, you kind of need to be able to pull a lot of weight, though.
That's true.
So maybe some sort of pull behind trailer and a dirt bike, because you could be siphoning these tanks while you're doing it, right?
Or a 40 Chevy.
True. That's so you got a team going where you basically are out there scavenging everything you can from every vehicle.
What else can we get from a vehicle on the
Because if
side
I'm
of the
getting a
road?
battery out of a vehicle, I'm definitely getting the gas out of it while I'm there.
Sure, you get the
yeah.
gas, the battery, acid. I guess if you wanted the oil, if you really needed some oil, there's plenty of that in cars. And
Fuzzy dice.
Oh yeah, gotta have those. You know,
Priorities,
CDs,
guys.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
cigarette butts. You know, for people who smoke. Yeah.
here's a de-stressor. Here's a cigarette butt from some corpse in the. So, gross. So, first technology that you would set up. First technology you would set up at the new zombie bunker. What do you think is
Well,
most important?
water is really, really, really important. So
Okay.
if you're any kind of a climate where it gets any bit of rain at all, the first thing I would set up is a catchment, a place to something where you could collect rainwater in vast quantities, every bit of it that falls,
Brilliant.
because you got to have water. Number one, stuff of life. Without that, you're dead. Food
Yep.
you can do without for a long time. Water,
Yep.
So that'd be the
Cistern
very
is a
first.
good technology that we've kind of lost.
Yeah, cistern, catchment, same thing, only just different setup basically, but same thing. You're storing water from any available source you can find, basically, and mostly being the rain.
Okay. Brilliant. And I think we got, what, 5 minutes?
Yeah, about
5 minutes left. Okay. So I did have a random question, slightly, because of your work with Hack a Week. How do you propose getting new hackers involved in the world of hacking?
Pretty much by just what I'm doing right now. It seems to generate a lot of interest. There's plenty of people that have emailed me and said something to the effect of, I've always wanted to mess with electronics, and I just built this thing because you posted all the parts and the thing, and it really worked, and now I
Oh,
want to make
cool.
more.
Awesome.
So it seems to be just the idea that every project I do, I put up a parts list, a schematic, and I guess the way I present it just lets people realize, like, hey, you can do this.
It's possible.
About this easy. Here's kind of, step by step of me doing it.
if
It's
that
not
guy can do it.
Hey.
Yeah, if that guy with the weird hair and cats running around his bench can do it, sure. I can too.
Cool. That sounds okay. What else? Let's see.
Actually, there's one more thing I wanted to throw in.
Yes.
I thought of the other day. I mentioned this to Whisker the other day too. Was choosing a headquarters after the apocalypse is pretty important. I mean, where do you choose a headquarters? A house, a warehouse. And the other day dawned on me, like, oh my God, this is perfect. You basically set up shop in a Home Depot or a Lowe's or a hardware store.
Yes.
You've got every
Yes.
freaking thing you could ever want right there.
I agree.
All the resources. You probably have minimal ins and outs on the building to cover, right?
Yep.
You've already got an alarm system in place. If you can figure, you got a generator in there.
Multiple generators.
Sure. Lawnmowers to hack the engines out of.
They've got
whatever.
Plants. Because Home
Everything
Depots now have,
Sure.
those garden centers.
Whole garden section, so you could grow food.
Oh, man.
You got seeds, everything you need is in
Yeah.
the friggin' Home Depot. So you got to get in one of those. set
Song
up
this
shop.
last Sunday was actually about that. The chorus goes, what is it? Loot, loot, loot the big box store.
That's right. I heard that this morning. I listened to it. Yes, yeah, I got that line. Loot, loot, loot the big box stores. I laughed when I heard that. I was getting ready to go to work, and I clicked on it and listened to it. That was excellent.
That actually is quite brilliant. We have
was
one
awesome.
Home Depot around here.
Yeah.
And a Harbor Freight
even a
just recently
small-
opened.
Even a little mom and pop place would work. It's just the fact that it's a hardware.
Yeah, I
store.
was thinking mom and pop when you first mentioned the idea to me, Dean. But yeah,
It's
I know.
smaller and easier to deal with in a way. It's less variables as far as break-ins from those pesky zombies.
Although
when you add the
zombies
garden
don't really
center-
climb, right? Zombies don't climb, right? And
It
Home Depots are
depends.
already in large warehouses, so you could put, do kind of a canopy style, like a treehouse style housing, right?
Well, they're pretty locked down. I mean, you got basically two front doors. You got an entry to the garden section. You got some back loading dock areas.
Right.
Those are all pretty secure steel doors and such. So
As long as they don't come crawling in the drains, the vents, and all that.
Oh,
If-
vents, no. Me and vents are no good.
You
I
could
do not
cover
want to
that.
see zombies crawling out of vents. None of that. But we can take care of that. We can look for all the vents. right?
Well, and then if there's a Walmart nearby, break a hole through the wall. They've got sporting goods, which include
and
firearms,
food, canned goods.
Yeah,
guns.
non-perishables are good.
This is one thing. This is one time when a strip mall is good because everything's, Oh,
Definitely.
but we also this would have to be. I think the only difficult thing about getting set up in a Home Depot is that everybody would want to go to Home Depot.
Pretty much.
Yes,
stuff.
but you know what? I thought of that. That
Yeah.
can work for you. See?
How's that?
Because you could screen out everybody wanting to come through, and then you could choose, like, okay, you get to come in because you got something to offer. Think of it as Canada, right? It's like Canada. You going to contribute? Yeah, come on in. You going to be a freeloader? Get the hell out.
Stay in the U.S.
Yeah, and we had enough of that during the Vietnam War with all you people coming over here, hanging out, want to be hippies and smoke weed. And no, not going to happen. So see, we can kind of do it like that. You get to actually add to your team, and you get to pick and choose. And
Interesting.
that want to put up a fight and demand to come in. Well, too bad. Do whatever you have to do to deal with those. Hey, look over there.
We got to be careful of the weak-willed.
Yes. We
People.
don't want the sheep and the lemmings. We want the individual free thinker people who have skills.
All right, I think we've got just enough time left here for Addie's usual guest questions here.
My usual. Okay.
The ones, yes.
Top three tools, right?
Yeah.
3 tools that you would bring to the zombie apocalypse, besides the ones that clip, that get car batteries out, because that's going to be an automatic.
Any kind of like a Leatherman tool or something like that.
Okay.
One of those all-in-one tools.
Yep,
Because,
yep.
God, everything is on there. Screwdrivers, wire cutters, pliers, you name it. Knives.
Dude, that's awesome.
Fork screws, can openers, bottle openers.
So a Leatherman or a Gerber.
Yep.
Gerber.
Same thing.
A butane soldering iron. And a
Oh.
little, supply of butane, because you can fire that thing up and use it anywhere. And definitely going to need soldering iron. Me personally, I am going to need that.
Well, we've got one of yours
Yeah,
here,
and stuff.
and we've
So-
got one of yours here at our place. So
And a hatchet. A hatchet,
I
because
agree.
one end is a hammer, the other end you can chop all kinds of things into little pieces, including zombies if you had to close
excellent,
range.
excellent.
So hatchet's a super good, very versatile tool.
Don't forget to bring your super soaker as well.
Yeah, we
Yep.
can get that at the Walmart next door to the Home Depot. Or Toys R Us, depending on the strip mall that we raid.
Toys R Us, hey, that's an option.
Yeah, I want to be a Toys R Us zombie.
Okay, that was a fun show. I think it went well.
Yes.
We covered a lot of fun information. And if you want to check out what Dean has been up to for the last 6 months, and for the next 6 months, if he
Indeed.
sticks to it, I think
Oh,
he will.
definitely.
He will.
It's hackaweektv.com, I think.
Hackaweek.com.
Hackaweek.com. That was actually available.
Yep.
The YouTube channel is Hack a Week TV.
Ah, that's what had me confused there. So if you want to go directly to YouTube, Hack a Week TV, the website itself is hackaweek.com.
Yep.
I too was surprised it was available.
And can people send you ideas that they want to see done, or?
Yeah, there's comments. You can comment on the stuff. There's a link to my email on there.
Awesome.
And a
Awesome.
donate button.
And donate, yes.
Donate. Send me a watermelon.
It's a good season for that. It's a good season.
Or a squash,
Yes.
fall harvest, anything. Money, that'd
Dino
work.
accepts squash. It all ends up in his belly.
Clams. That's true, it does.
Oh, clams. That might not be a bad donation.
And as always, you can find these podcasts at feeds.tymkrs.com.
Yep.
I think that's it for this week. Thanks for listening.
All right.
And Dean, thanks for joining us.
Indeed.
Oh, thank you. It's been lots of fun.
We'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Aloha.